I rather finish somewhere and knowing there's more in the tank going forward than doing your absolute best, depleting everything, finishing not where you wanted, and then how do you proceed? It's like, what will I do now? Now it's like, okay, it was good, and I have something more to show for the next stage, I think.
Welcome to the Upside Strength Podcast, the show that will help you get your health and your performance to the next level. Whether you're a recreational or competitive athlete, a coach, a physio, or even just someone who's curious about sport, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Jelle, welcome to the podcast. How you doing, man?
Hello, good. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Congrats on your amazing performance at the European semifinals last weekend. You've had a week off now, I assume. How has been the post competition?
Good. Competition went very well execution wise, and also after it, I just wanted to go directly to work. It's like 3 days off seemed a bit overkill to me, but yeah, I stick to what Andre said, and maybe more the mental deload because the body felt good. It was only 6 workouts. First 2 days were very easy volume wise, and so I was eager to jump into work maybe a bit too early. So, but now we're back in business since this week.
Back in business. Did Andre give you a week off? Did he say nothing for a week, or what were your instructions for the post competition week?
Well, Monday was getting back home, so that day went fast, and then Tuesday was obviously also off, and then I ended up Wednesday also off, and then Tuesday I went for a ride with a friend, so it was not really training, but I was happy to get outside. In the end, we ended up pushing quite hard on the bike, but for me, it didn't feel like training. It didn't feel like in the four walls doing
unstructured.
Yeah. So, and then from there, Friday, Saturday was getting in touch with the movements again that I didn't do for a while, like jerks and cleans, and yeah, because we didn't have them in semifinals, so I didn't do them for almost 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like priming the body for what's about to come this week, and now we are back to full speed and 75 days out of semifinal of the games. So yeah,
I like that you're counting down the days. That's good. It's a good way to think about it. So I want to obviously come back on the semis and your performance throughout the workouts throughout the weekend, but from what I understand, there's been a few changes in the last few months for you and your routine, namely that you switched from still having a job on the side to now training full time. When did that switch happen?
It was last year in November. There, the thought started to grow, and I had some chats with colleagues, with my team lead, with one of the partners of Delaware, and like throwing small fishes, let's say, and see how it goes, because I worked with Delaware for 7 years, and it's financial security. I love to work there. I love my job, so you don't want to mess this vibe up with telling them that you will not commit fully to them anymore. So I find it hard to get the conversation started, but the conversations were very supportive towards my side. They said, yeah, what do you have? You don't have kids yet. You just have a house that you need to keep paying and a wife that you need to keep happy. But other than that, what's at risk? And they say, if it doesn't work out, you call us and next week you start here again. So, and I was shocked. It's like my team lead said that, like one of the partners of Delaware also was a pro cyclist for a while when he did his studies. So he knows what it takes and he knows how the world works. And yeah, I was shocked. And then I started the talks with my wife and my parents, and then I just took the decision in December. They even helped me with, like, because I wanted to start in January. And then they said, yeah, you can basically take all your holidays from the next year already and you can start in December. It's like, I expected it the complete opposite, that they would give me a hard time because I didn't bring revenue to the company anymore. Like, they're like totally opposite of what I thought. I knew it was a good company, but I sometimes when it comes down that it's really they really need to show it, then it's like, oh, but no, it was not totally not like this. So since December, I was off the job at Delaware and full time on CrossFit.
It's like you said, it's pretty amazing that you were able to make that transition and that they were so supportive of what you were trying to do. If you had to redo it, would you approach the conversation in the exact same way that you did, or would you do something differently? Maybe for people that are in a similar situation to you that are thinking about this transition to full-time training, do you have any advice on that?
I would probably do it the same. I'm more like, how do you say it in English? Like touching the waters a bit, like seeing
Right.
how closest colleagues react that you trust, and then you go, yeah, you're not so close with your team lead, but he's closest, and then you ask him, and then one of the partners that I'm at the table with clients a lot of times, then you ask it at the table, like he basically started that conversation because like I think it was in the French throwdown when I took second. He's like, yeah, he's the first loser. You're actually the first loser. So what will you do to win next time? And it's like, then I say joking wise, yeah, the only thing that holds me back is the 8 hours I spent here at the table, not
Mm.
improving my fitness, and yeah, then from there the second conversation starts, and then you actually ask for a meeting, like 15 minutes, like what do you actually think about it, and then yeah, for me that's a like progressive way. Let the idea build in your head. I don't like, I see some other athletes that say, if I don't go pro now, I will miss out, and they maybe do it a little bit too early. The changes are too big, too much at a time.
Mhm.
Then after 2 months they figure out, oh, there is no money coming in, how will I handle this? Like I had a lot of options in my head, like if it doesn't work out, I can earn extra money by doing this, I can, but obviously there's also at a cost, also at energy and headspace that goes away towards that. So but in the back of my head, like these are the options, and like worst case, I just go back to work like the next week, and just having that security in your head makes the choice easier. So that's very nice from them that they allow me to do it. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really awesome. Can you talk us through what a typical day would look like for you when you were still working? Maybe take a typical week of the day or day of the week, and then talk about the weekends as well and how you organize training around a full day of work.
Um, yeah. So a typical day of work, very detailed, was at 6:30. I woke up and I wanted to go as fast as possible in the home gym, like no breakfast, because if you do it in 5 minutes, it will maybe still be in my throat. So yeah, it wouldn't help me. Then basically 10 minutes later, I was already on the echo bike warming up. I tried to be finished around 8. So it was only a 90-minute-ish session, but it's not a good advice, but that was what I could do. So I cut down on like warm up and stretching, and the first round of the workout was kind of in my warm up,
Mhm.
of continuation of the warm up, and then but I could do quite some good work in the morning, more cardio wise, like not really weightlifting, because for this you cannot really skip the proper warm up. But that did the trick as a first session, and then I rushed myself into the shower. The breakfast was made the day before, so I could have it in the car
Mhm.
when I drive towards a client. And then after that, I arrive at the client at 9, like still sweating from the rush, and just maybe finishing my breakfast on the stairs, and sometimes at my desk. Um, and sometimes I had to go directly into a meeting and finish my breakfast after that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
From there on, yeah, I was at the client doing work, meetings, have lunch with colleagues, and then at 5:36, I went to the gym. Then it was a lot of traffic, so I arrived sometimes 6, sometimes 6:30 at the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there it was till 9, sometimes a bit later till 9 training, and then I get home 9:30 ish, and then it was a rush. Then I had 1 hour to get into bed because I wanted 10:30 the latest in my bed. But then it's coming home, starting to create new bags for the day after, like dumping all the dirty wash into the washing machine and everything. Then in the meantime, cooking, then eating, creating new bags and new meal preps for tomorrow, the breakfast. And that was the things I could improve. I couldn't improve it at the time because I didn't have time.
Yeah.
But in that 1 hour, you eat, you say hi to your wife, you do everything like what you do in a whole day, and then you're on your bed, still racing. You just did the workout in 1 hour. You did your whole routine, and then it took a while to get into sleep. And I think over the week, I gradually built up some sleep deficit, which I catched up then a bit on my rest day, where I could go to bed earlier, and then basically survive till the weekend, and then I catched up on sleep, and it was basically a bit balanced like this.
Did you have bigger training days on the weekend usually, or how did you organize your rest days around the week?
I just had one easier day, the Tuesday. Easier day meaning the morning session was a bit shorter, where I had 30 minutes more of sleep, and then the Tuesday was full day off. Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday was full day off, and then in the weekend the volume was the same, or there I catched up the things that I couldn't do in the week. So then the volume was obviously up, but we didn't plan more volume there because I also had a wife that I want to keep happy. So if you then train Saturday, Sunday, and you're not available in the week, I think that would work out.
It's a tough schedule, man. When, like you said, you're just missing time, right? If we could just add 2 or 3 hours in the day and you had 26, 27-hour days, then you could probably get away with a little bit more of it. But if you're always running from left to right and always having to plan for the next thing, it's pretty hectic. Would you have any advice for people that are in this situation right now and that want to train at a high level? How can you maybe optimize that evening session? Anything you did in particular regarding nutrition, focus? How did you approach it in general?
Yeah, it worked till a certain point. Like I finished 10 at the games with that schedule. No, I am lying because I was cutting down my hours year after year. So that schedule I explained was 5 days a week 3 years ago.
Okay.
Then the year after, I have cut down hours to 80%, meaning I had to work 4 days a week. And then I had one day off, and then I split my days, and I had the Wednesday off of work as well, where I had bigger volumes. And then the year after, I went to 60% work schedule, where I had the Tuesday and Thursday off. So then I could manage a bit better training and sleep. But I also try to evaluate, like, what can I do better day by day, like week by week, month by month, year by year. And at that time, I mean, if you didn't figure out how to snatch properly, how to move properly, it would be better with more sleep. But I don't think like sleep was the thing that's holding me back, because there was so much things I had needed to learn, like figure out my meals. If I had the time, I would probably not be able to string together how to optimize it like what I know now. So it's like just gradually, I'm more fan of gradually building something sustainable than like going blindly all in and maybe crashing. Like if it's just maintainable for 6 months and then you crash, and then what do you do? So I think that's the tip, like just looking day to day, what can I do better today? Like I didn't feel good at training. Why? Like was my pre-workout meal good? Was the timing good? Was maybe the day before too much? Was caffeine timing off? Like did I time my caffeine too late? That my sleep was bad? That the day after all these things.
All the, I guess, all the little things, and it's compound interest. If you do it properly for weeks, months, and years, this is what actually brings
Mhm.
results, right? I think we often want to get the most out of each workout and make them as hard as we can all the time because we think this is what's going to get us to the goal. But like you said, it's years of work, and if you don't have a consistent routine that you can maintain over years, then it doesn't matter how hard you train. It's just not going to be regular enough to bring you those results. Did you always have that, let's call it, a long-term mindset in the way that you approach training, or did that build over time?
Um, that built over time as well. Like when you're younger, when you're less experienced, yeah, when you feel good, you tend to push too much. Like sometimes, like after a rest day, you feel good and you feel that you can crush the workout and you do it, but actually doing that, you crush yourself for the next day. So that's something I learned, like let's say not lately, but like in the last years. Um, that it's not about having the best session, but like having the best week. If you have like a very good session, but the next two sessions are 6 out of 10, and if you have 10, 6, 6, it's less than like 9, 8, 8. So I aim more for that now, and I think it keeps you injury free, like mentally in a good state, and yeah, more long term, like with everything.
So like you said, since December, you were able to switch to full-time training. How did that shift work for you? Did you get used to it quickly? What are the first things that you put in place to make it work?
Um, Basically, at the same time when I stopped my job, we started renovating the attic,
Yeah.
which was my old home gym, and there was no, I have my gym in the backyard, so that space came free. So I also thought, what can we do about it? And then the idea grew to have a recovery room there,
Mm.
which was also something I could improve with an ice bath and a sauna. So basically in December, the work started there, and the time that I won with quitting my session, I helped with the guys, the contractors that built the recovery room. So that was basically 1 month of the same schedule. But yeah, then when that work was done in January, I suddenly had like a lot of time, and then it was um, for me the hardest thing was not taking more things onto me. Like when I have more time, I start to think, what can I do more? But actually, I said no to a lot of things just to get my schedule right, and it took a couple of weeks, let's say months, even to find a routine. Um, and now I think I have a good routine. I don't even know if it's weekend or if it's a bank holiday or is it a vacation for somebody. It's like for me, it's just training day or rest day, and every day is the same. And I tried with training early, training later, having breakfast 1 hour before training, 2 hours, or just without breakfast. Or yeah, it takes some time to find what works best for you. Like working in the morning, I have a good focus, but then I have issues with stopping. When I start working, I want to finish it, and then I have issues stopping it. And then sometimes I start training at 11, and then so my training is like priority. And with working, I mean like things on the side I need to do, like emails to reply or other projects, seminar I'm preparing, things like that. So yeah, no, I have a pretty fixed schedule, which I feel good with, and it optimizes my training and sleep. And yeah, that's it. I
Did
already forgot what the question was.
No, no, you answered the transition between, working full time and then moving into full time training. It's interesting what you said about, wanting to put more onto your plate, but then
Mhm.
holding back and saying, no, 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 I want to actually just do what I'm doing, but just better, right? So is there a significant difference in training volume between before you quit and after, or is it really just the recovery that got amplified by this extra time that you have?
Um, the recovery is a big thing, but I also planned in now like downtime before bed because, as I explained the schedule
Mhm.
before, it was a rush, and now I'm really ready to sleep when I go to bed. These things. I also training volume, like the actual work didn't go up too much, I think, but more like proper warm-ups, proper cool downs. So if you count that as training hours as well, the volume went up then.
Mhm.
Um, it went a little bit up. So the morning sessions of 90 minutes can expand a bit, getting closer to the games, but I also have room for that and the
Mhm.
room to plan it. So it doesn't feel like it got more. But if I should do it the same way I'm doing it now back then with that schedule, it would not work for sure.
Mhm. Are you sticking with 2 sessions a day, or are you breaking it up into three sometimes? How do you organize your days now? Let's take a typical training day for you. Like you said, it's all the same. What's a training day for you?
Um, Usually it's sessions. Sometimes there can be a third there, more technical session. So after the games, we figured something out to improve my handstand walks, handstand push-ups, and everything. And I got in contact with the gymnastics coach, so that can be a technical session I do with them as a third session. But other than that, it's 2 sessions, and it's waking up 7:30. Then I have an easier morning when I have breakfast and yeah, do some host chores. I don't know, laundry, cleaning the like brainless things.
Mm.
Then at 9 I train till 11. Then I have my lunch break where I eat and take a nap at noon. Then I go to the gym at 2. Then I train from 2:30 till 5:30. And then I'm home at 6. Then I have 2 hours that I work from 6 till 8. Then I eat at 8, and then 8:30 downtime starts till 9:30, and then 9:30 I'm in my bed. Like this, I have 10 hours of bedtime, like 1 hour downtime, 5 hour ish training time, and yeah, that's it. And time for a nap at noon.
In time for a nap at noon. How much does the nap, the downtime, and the extra sleep impact your training? What's the main thing that you feel compared to before?
Um, I will touch wood, but since I like really could um, prioritize sleep, I just feel better. Like every training session, I can attack like fresh. Like towards the third training day, it can go down a bit, but like
Mm.
rather fresh. And also, I like injury wise, my body feels so much better. It's the first semifinals I went into without niggles or nagging injuries or doubting if I need a cortisone shot for something that keeps bothering me. Now it's like, Jesus, I'm ready.
Like a brand new body. That's really good, and I think it's important to put that forward. Is you don't necessarily train that much more or even that much harder than before, but that extra recovery time is what makes all the difference. And I can imagine feeling fresh like you do now has an impact on how you approach every day of training, right? If you have a little niggle all the time, a little something bothering you, that's always something on the back of your mind, and now you can just kind of just clear the way and just move forward.
Yeah, and before you think it's just normal, like waking up tired, having needing like an extra 10-15 minutes for a certain body part to be ready. Like, no, I have time for warm-ups, but I feel like I need less of it because I just take a bar and oh, that doesn't hurt. That's weird. Normally I have my shoulder and my elbow and my wrist. And so, and also when I'm now, like after the semifinals, I didn't stick to my sleeping schedule for once. And I was wrecked for 2 days, just missing out of 3 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep. And it took me 2-3 days to get back. And now I'm happy that I'm in my schedule again, because mentally you feel like not sharp, and also the body starts suddenly hurting. And yeah, sleep is a good supplement.
Sleep is the best supplement. If we come back on your season up until now, so post games last year, what did you guys notice needed improving? You talked about the handstand walk, handstand push-ups. What were your main focuses since the games until semis?
Yeah, I think that if you look to the leaderboard, it's pretty clear that like the raw strength, the speed strength, the top end strength, these are things we focused on. And inverted work, handstand walk, handstand push-ups, these things were the main focus. And was also the first time that I really shifted training towards it. Sometimes it's like, yeah, let's do a little bit more of it, but now it's like we really screw down the like running and everything, and that time we use for that. And obviously balancing it, because it's all the same movement pattern, like the jerks, the handstand push-ups. Like Andre does a good job in that, like putting the puzzle together, not overloading the things too much. And because it's a fine line with like overtraining and the right stimulus. So yeah.
How much time did you guys dedicate to that? Was there let's say a clear period, a couple months, 3 months where you did more of this versus the other stuff, and then worked back some other things into the mix to equilibrate or to balance things out again?
There was a clear period, but I I let it more to Andre. I tried to focus like on the day-to-day training, but what I know is like going into Rogue, I wasn't really prepared for let's say at my peak for a CrossFit competition, because I didn't run since the games, like these things, like but yeah, I think it was basically till some weeks before the open where we started shifting a bit towards like opening it up a bit, like the things that we put down, bringing it back up, so we are back in like, let's say a balanced load across everything for the semis, for the quarters.
You,
Yeah.
you said that was the first time that you had that big of a maybe a focus on a few key movements. How did you feel towards it? Any anxiety of not doing the other stuff for a while, going into Rogue, like you said, not at your peak? How do you deal with those times?
um yeah, I highly rely on like the trainings I did, the work I did. And like also for the semifinals, by example, you do all the workouts, you know what you can do, you know you did it, you know you did harder versions of it. And for the games, by example, training felt very good. I knew I did tons of hours and kilometers of training before, so I know it has been stacking. And then when it gets hard, I go back to these moments and I know, okay, I know I can do it. I know at Rogue it was like you get to a point where it gets hard in a workout, and then you think, yeah, you didn't run for 3 months. That's maybe why it's hurting, and you don't have the pennies stacked in your bank, like that you can pull out and think that was a hard moment. And then it's, yeah, mentally it plays a bit a role, but yeah, like I think in the long term you also think like, okay, just do what you can, get through it, do your best with what you have at this point, but you know next year at the games, there's where it counts.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's the kind of thing you just have to do it once to see that it works, right? Focusing on something and then downshifting on the rest. And once you see that, hey, I can do a few months like you did on some qualities and even leave some other things aside, when you come back to it, it's not like it's completely lost, right? It comes back pretty quickly. And if you balance things out, obviously you guys did a great job with Andre, then you can be ready. But at the same time, you did shift the focus. I think a lot of people have a hard time saying, hey, I'm going to dedicate 2 months, 3 months to that quality because that's really my limiting factor right now. I need to build that up, but that also means you need to do less on the other stuff. But mentally, that's probably the hardest thing, right? To do it the first time.
Yeah, there it's where you have to have trust in your coach, I think, and letting go is, yeah, it mentally it's hard, but if your coach can convince you that you're doing the right thing and you stand with that, then you just trust the process, and you know when it matters you will be ready. And I think it worked out so far. If you look to my semi-final results last year, I had like a lot of high ends, but also a lot of low ends. And now it's like I only had one event win, but I didn't really have like top down the last 20 finishes or something. So I don't have to be the best runner all the time, but if I'm staying at the top five, it's perfect.
Yeah,
As long as if I don't have the holes anymore.
yeah, I
Like
think
I
it's
think
it's it's getting to that point in the sport now where you just can't have any big glaring weaknesses because they're just going to pull you down too far, even if it's on one event. I'm just looking at your results now from last weekend. The worst, quote unquote, worst event, you play 16th in the fifth event, and otherwise you do 7, 6, 1, 2, 16, and 6. So you're yeah top seven on five workouts, and you just get 1/16th place. That gives you second place overall. Like you said, equalizing things, making sure there's no, big weaknesses that you should have addressed. That's really great to hear, and I'm glad to hear that the process worked how you had planned, and you were able to work on these things, and people notice it. I've had a few comments leading up to the podcast, people saying, "How did you improve your handstand walk so much, your handstand push-ups?" The overhead stuff. So obviously it came through and it paid off. Now let's go into the semifinal weekend a little bit. How did you feel going into the weekend, first of all?
I went in pretty confident with what I could do, and also on competition day, I always feel that like extra. I don't know. I can do that extra. Like in training, I know it will get hard, but at competition, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but I know I will be able to execute and perform it at least like in training or better.
Mhm.
It has been like this like my whole life, so I hope it stays like this. That's a good feeling going in, and also having the time to prepare, like Andre making a good plan to prepare you for it. It also gives extra confidence. Like the surprising factor is a bit gone, so it's less exciting, let's say. I was already tired of the workouts before doing them last time, but um, yeah, that was the feeling. I felt ready, I felt prepared, and I was like excited to see what the work I have put in the last 6 months, so how it will turn out.
How is your taper structured leading up into a competition like that? Obviously, it's likely not your main event of the year, right? You're aiming everything towards the games, but how much time before the semis did you start modifying your training volume? By how much does it go down? Can you talk a little bit about how you approach still a major competition like that?
I think the last week we are scaling, the 2 weeks before we are scaling down a bit in volume, but keeping the touches at the intensity the same,
Mhm.
but just less. And then the week before we really scale down the volume a little bit more and keeping touches with the intensity at game pace, and then just 2 rest days before, where the second rest day or the day before we just do a small session to get the blood flowing, put the heart rate up, like doing some mobility movement work to feel better on the day. So no rocket science. I think very basic, but the good things with the semifinals now as well was you scale down the volume, but you keep the touch. You can keep the touches with the movements you will do. So it was a pretty good taper if you could taper all the time like this. Because if we did, I don't know, snatch, prepare for a clean ladder, and then we did, I don't know, handstand push-ups, all movements that are not in the semifinals, it felt like a bit of lost energy.
Mm.
It's like we could hit everything on the nail, and that was the head on the nail, and it just felt good. Yeah.
By how much can you tell how much volume you drop between a regular training week and the week before? Do you have a sense of how many hours you would train on a regular week and then how many you did leading up to the weekend?
Well, maybe if I should put it in percentages, like 25-30% we dropped.
Mm.
But it's a little bit because we also, when we did the exposures, we also timed the workouts. So I had to do every time like the full warm up, which took around 45 to 1 hour. And yeah, that if you do like all the events 3 times a week, it's like I did 18 hours of warm up. And then, yeah. So I think the volume dropped down a little bit more if you don't count the warm ups and everything.
Mhm.
But it's also important, like going in, like every warm up was timed to the minute, and Andre was basically there with his timer, and it was crazy. I know some athletes don't like when the coach guides the warm up, but for me it was like it felt good. Like I didn't had to take any decision. It's just go with the flow, and I was ready like 30 seconds before call time, like for 6 events, and that was like, yeah, nice.
That's what you want. That's definitely what you want. Do you have any rituals, habits going into big competitions that you try to maintain or that are important to you going into those big competitions?
Uh, Not really rituals, just we do the taper. We try to be there. Like when we did we travel? We traveled on Monday, so we keep the travel bit early. So because it has always like taxing and finding your way, a lot of walking. It's like with the bags and everything. So we try to be there early,
Mhm.
like go to the shop, meal prep everything, like make a plan for the meals, having everything at the house. So in your head, you know, like you're all set. And then what did we do? I don't know if it's a ritual, if I did it twice, but like last year it was we were done with the meals and we just went to a spa, like with a sauna and
Mhm.
to chill, to like no phone, no distractions, just with my wife, like before the war starts, like disconnecting one last time. And this year we did the same in Lyon, and that was cool. So maybe I should make that a ritual.
A good little habit to get into. What you said, I think, is interesting. The fact that a travel day is not a recovery day, right? And I think too many times we think about, oh, I'm traveling that day, I'm not training, so it's kind of recovery. But no, like you said, it is taxing, and if not physically, mentally, and you have to count that into in your schedule as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also you had to be awake at a certain hour, so you know you have 2 3 alarms set, but still you're a little bit uh, not, yeah, you don't sleep as deep because you want to make sure you heard the alarms, and then everything is ready, and you double think, did I forget anything? And like all the time the stress to get on the train, to get on the plane, like the check-in, yeah. Indeed, it's more taxing. It's, you will not die from it, but like it gives some kind of stress that you don't want.
Yeah, that's one thing that Matt Fraser used to say a lot, is that he hated traveling during the year because it took away valuable training time and recovery time. And
Yeah.
if you just stayed at home and trained every day of the year, then you had, uninterrupted training. Whereas every time you travel, that kind of breaks into your routine and you can't do exactly what you would have done
Mhm.
otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
What were your first thoughts getting to Lyon, the LDLC arena? It was the first year the event taking place there because of the Olympic Games that are taking place in the summer in Paris. So the velodrome wasn't available. How did you find this venue compared to the previous year?
Um, the venue was super nice. But also I went to the French before, and the Velodrome is also very big and very impressive.
Mhm.
And I thought it would be hard to do better than Berlin last year, but for me it was like I liked the venue a bit more because like the spectators were closer. Like in Berlin, they were very far. I could finish and I could basically like say hi to my wife, and like also the media people are close. Your coach is just like 2 meters, and also the spectators are a lot closer, which is cool. There was a very nice athlete arena, which I only found last day, but that was nice. Yeah, it was smooth, close to our Airbnb, and yeah, I liked it. It's like very hyped and very nice, a very electric crowd when you need it, and you could also just pull out, relax, and between events, which was also possible. So I liked it.
How would you compare it to previous events that you've partaken in terms of the organization, the communication, the timing of events? Did everything, go as planned? And if not, what do you do to adjust in those moments?
Well, I went to the French throwdown before, and I have been impressed like 3 times, 4 times by them. Like it's like an oiled machine. It's like everything is timed to the minute. They even have strategies for the equipment going up and down. Also, the volunteers come up a certain way. It's a very nice organization, and I didn't expect less this year from them. Uh, so yeah, I also went to other competitions where it was not like this, but no, like doing more higher level competitions. This is like the expectation, and they definitely met it. So yeah, that was very nice. I think they only on the last day they had a few minutes delay, but apparently afterwards they even say it was for a broadcast on ESPN.
Hmm.
So I think apart from that, everything was like timed on the second, which I appreciate a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure it helps when you can just stick to what the times was and you don't have to adjust because otherwise, your warm up
Mhm.
gets moved around and then your timing in your head but gets moved around. So it must be better for you guys if it's just the way it was supposed to be, right?
Yeah, we can of course be flexible, but we rather not be flexible, not needing to be flexible.
Not needing, that's the right way to put it. Um, if you if you're cool with that, we'll take it one workout at a time, and I want to go through how you approach the workout, and then what were your main takeaways, and at the end, we'll go through what the favorite
Yeah.
workout of the weekend was, and also what the hardest one was. Like you said, it wasn't the most volumi no, that's a French word. I can't use it in English. It wasn't the most volume that we've seen in a CrossFit competition, right? But let's go through workout one first. So 5 rounds for time, 800-meter run, 10 clean and jerks at 185 with a 30-minute time cap. So how did that one feel in training, first of all?
Um, in training, it felt good. The first 2 times I trained it on the air runner. Then we didn't know it will be run outside, and then the last time I did it outside. But like the sticky point remained the same. Like coming out from the clean and jerks into the run, like the first 20 seconds hit hard, and that didn't go away with anything I tried. Like slower clean and jerks, faster clean and jerks, anything. I just like embrace the suck in the first 20 seconds. Um, yeah.
Do you change your pace at all in the first little bit and then kind of push up a gear and move a little bit faster, or do you just go at the speed that you want to hit and then just hold that, knowing that it's just going to hurt a bit more at the beginning?
Um, I ramped it up a little bit because the legs didn't want to follow after the clean and jerks.
Mm,
The but I train in my exposures. I train it more in a more controlled way. The square was very nice for the spectators, but for me it was very hard to pace. Also, the placement I had like just the spot before going out, which I
yeah.
thought at the beginning it would be an advantage. But in the end, I would rather have like the first spot on coming in, because if you come in, you can directly start clean and jerks, and you know everybody needs to go If you have like one clean and jerk ahead, you know you can keep that.
Right.
For me, it was all the time. Now I need to keep pushing the pace because I need to do the full square before I get to the bar. And then that was the thing that maybe drew me a little bit off my initial ID, because going into the run, I all the time had it in the back of my head, like, I need to keep pushing, I need to keep pushing, because when the competitors catch up with me and I go in the stadium together, it means I'm behind, and they will probably have like 2 or 3 clean and jerks before I get to my bar.
Mm-hmm.
And this got me maybe running a little bit too fast, where it got really hard in the fourth round, which was supposed to be the round where I started to push, and now it was just the round where I had to hang on. But yeah, it's part of the sport. I think it was very cool for the spectators, much cooler than just running on the air runners and they are waiting. He comes off. So something a lesson I drew from that.
Okay, that's good to know. How did you find the organization of the workouts? Obviously, the one workout on the Friday, and then two on the Saturday, three on the Sunday. How did that work for you?
Um, I would have liked maybe 2-2-2,
Mm,
but it also, because like the last day, like the first 2 days, you think you're almost there, but you're actually only halfway.
right.
So last day can happen so much, but also having only one event at the first day means like everybody can push a little bit more because they know they have almost 24 hours or like one day to recover from it.
Mm.
So that's also what I did, and it was a long time ago that I went so hard on a workout. Like my heart rate and everything, I was pretty smoked.
So, are you saying that when you have, for example, on the third day, three workouts, is there still a little bit of pacing that goes into it, but because you know that you have two more events that day on the first one, or are you still able to, put your foot down and go 100%?
Um, I still go 100%, I think, and that's probably also something I learned from last year's games, that I went 100% on a 5K run because I knew running goes well, and I knew I probably was able to win that event. And I went 100%, but I paid the bill in the lifting event after.
Right.
I'm not the best lifter, not that I'm saying that, and I would not have won that event if I run slower, but I would have definitely done better at the event, because the first barbell I touched, it was like a lot harder. My nervous system was gone.
So I guess it's knowing when you can go 100%, and then, but when there are situations like this where you should hold back just a little bit so that you keep a little bit for the next workout.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we
All
still
right.
keep learning. So
It's always keep learning. And sometimes the learning hurts a little bit. Hey, real quick, I've prepared a free mini course to help you understand everything that you absolutely need to know on training zones, how to train zone 2 for your sport, and how to organize your endurance training in general. You can sign up for free using the link in the description. How did you feel Saturday morning waking up?
uh, pretty good actually. The day itself, I was pretty smoked, but I had like a lot of sleep and good sleep, which I usually don't have in a
Mhm.
competition. But like finishing so early, it allowed like for a good sleep, and I felt like fresh 100% again, which was good. No, because event two was I thought it was going to be hard for me, but going in there fresh, it boosts the mentality going in there. Because if you go in there smoked and you know it will be hard, then yeah, I don't know.
It's a,
It
it's a
helped.
it's a different game. Yeah. So second workout, you talked about it, 5 rounds for time, 100 double unders, 20 toes to bar, 10 front squats at 225. What was the sticky point for you? Which movement it was going to limit you?
Uh, yeah, it's Actually, the Dubliners. It's I don't know. I can do 100 Dubliners. I can probably do it 5 times, but all the time I manage to trip or to hit my shoe a little bit, and then I have a break. And in the exposures, these were the places I lost most of the time. The toes to bar, I could do it unbroken all the time. Also the front squats, they got a bit hard, but I could grind through it. But it's like jogging back to the rope and going directly into it and keeping them unbroken. That's yeah, we're working on some strategies to improve that. And then I also, I don't know, the counting of my judge was a bit off on that one, because he
Okay.
was in the life that I finished behind Lazar and some other athletes, but then I got granted an appeal because I had the feeling I was doing too much double unders. I was like, I count all the time in my head, like 10 and then 20 and then 30, but like every time I had 10, his 10 came like 2 reps later, and then I had 20, and then it's like I was already at 24, and then he said 20. It's like, so then I every time started counting again from his, let's say 40, then I say 41, 42, 43, and then I was already at 52, and then again 50. It's like, okay, but you cannot do anything, so you just keep jumping till the
Right.
judge says go, and then
Yeah.
I focus on the things that I have to do. And I had a strange feeling with the double unders, but I say, yeah, just keep jumping and we will see. And I was lucky that Lazar, in the briefing, he asked the question, what if your judge counts wrong, the double unders? It's like, I was thinking Lazar again with his stupid questions. But then they said, there are 2 backup cameras on the side, which will film every movement. And in case of an appeal, we can use these. So I knew, just don't get upset, just keep jumping. The cameras are there, and counting something with miscounting, you can appeal. It's basically one of the few things you can appeal.
Right.
So, and then I finished the workout. My wife directly came to me saying, like the supporters count your reps. Some rounds you were like doing 15 reps more, and it's like 15 reps times 5, okay.
It's too
And then
many.
I filed an appeal, and then 2 hours later I came back in the stadium and they say, yeah, we counted your reps and you did 74 reps too much. And it's like, okay, and how we will fix that? And then they basically timed how long it took for the reps I did too much.
Yeah.
And they granted that time back, which was a fair. For the 75 reps I did too much, I was granted 28 seconds, which is a fair, yeah, a fair appeal, I think. And yeah, on the leaderboard was like 4 spots that I won back, so I was happy that got sorted, because I know a lot of cases at the games when you appeal no reps or miscounting is like, yeah, okay, like they do nothing about it. So that was definitely a good job to the organization or judges. And I also saw the judge afterwards, and I say, hey, I had the feeling the counting was a bit off some rounds. I will just ask that they review it to be sure that. He said, yeah, I was a bit confused some rounds, and I was already counting like more than 2,000 double unders. I say, yeah, it's normal. I try to count double unders myself, judging friends, and I know it's hard and it's human, and it
Yeah.
got solved. So I was happy that it got solved. But yeah, after all, the judges are human. We need them, and they can make mistakes as well. And I was happy that there was a fair solution.
I think that's good. It's good that they were able to rectify this and do it quickly as well, right? It didn't take 3 days for
Yeah,
it to come back, and they did it on the day, almost on the spot. And I can imagine that, at the games, it's different. There's a different organization, there's a different structure, and but I guess thank you, Lazar, for asking the
yeah.
question and making that
And
possible.
mentally, it helped because I knew I had something in my back pocket, like I can appeal
Mm.
it.
Hmm.
Although maybe I would not think about it. Maybe Andre would or somebody else, but during the workout, it helped me to stay calm. So thanks, Lazar.
So it's the end of the second workout. It's midday Saturday. You finished seventh in the first workout, sixth in the second workout. On that one we just spoke about. How are you feeling after that first workout, and what is your routine between two events on a competition day like that?
The routine between events depends on the time we have, and we had quite some time.
Mm.
Also, the house was very close, so we went back to the house. I took a shower, took a nap. I was lucky that my meal was already ready, that my wife cooked. Then we had the meal, and yeah, then I think I did another nap. And then we went back to the stadium. So it's just unplugging, chilling, not thinking too much about CrossFit, like reading a bit, watching a stupid series, then going back. When I got back, the appeal was granted, and that was also like a relief that I could let go. And then it was, yeah, starting event 4 3.
Starting event three, so 7 rounds for time, 10 cals on the echo bike, one legless rope climb, 10 bucks jump over, one legless rope climb on the way back. Time cap 16 minutes. Shout out to Gomar from WOD Science. He had called that you were the one of the favorites, or you were his pick for this workout. Actually, it turned out that way. How did you feel going into this workout? Did you know that it was going to be a good one for you?
Yeah, I'm very confident in my upper body pulling, and I tried it, and like I can handle that legless rope climb volume good. Also, like the 15 feet is not so high for me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can basically just do two pulls and touch it and drop from the top, which I also practice in training. Like how can I make it faster? Like focusing on a fast descent, and then yeah, I basically did it faster in training. Like the splits were faster, but the rules were a little bit changed about the box jumps, where usually, as I remember it, you can touch your own legs or body parts going down, but you cannot. And you have to stay like above the box. You cannot have feet going around.
Right.
And now it was like different. Your feet could go outside the box, but you cannot touch your own body parts. And what I have sometimes when I get tired is that my foot gets stuck on the rubber from the box.
Yeah.
And then I grab my foot and I throw it after. And yeah, no, I had it. So my foot gets stuck, and then you're standing there and you have to squeeze your hip flexor, like to lift your foot.
Which is already tired.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I biked a bit slower, like still enough to stay ahead, but I
Mm.
saw nobody was really matching my pace. So then then I was sure that I could do the box jumps. I can do, but if you go a little bit in the red zone, and then I don't know, you start falling off the box or around the box, or you get no reps.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept some percentages to execute properly and not taking no reps.
Yeah, we definitely saw that. I noticed that one time, the first time your foot got stuck, there was almost a split second where you were trying to pull it off, but it wouldn't come off.
Yeah,
And then you eventually got it down, and then the following times you knew, oh, I gotta just lean a little bit harder to get that foot off. Another thing, and I think you said that in the post workout interview, on the first like less rope climb on the way down, like you said, you jump from the top, which probably
Yeah,
saved you, I would say, at least a couple seconds per rope climb, something like that, through the workout, which was a lot when you had to do 14, 13 of them. And you said on the first drop down, the what did you say? The floor came a little bit faster than I thought. You actually fell on the first one.
yeah. I don't know. I also in the gym I practice at 15 feet,
Mm,
but somehow in competition it always seems a bit lower. I should measure it to be sure if it's exactly the same, but I dropped and my feet were still a bit before me. So my heels hit the ground and I fell on my my ass. I would have loved to see it again, but it's not on the live stream, and that's why I directly got like a little bit behind.
Mm.
But I could catch it up quite easily. I had some mistakes which were quite funny, but yeah, I didn't hurt myself. Like my friends directly texting, "Are you okay?" And I already forgot that I fell. And then, yeah, it's correct. I fell on the first one, but yeah, it was no big deal. I fell quite good.
Yeah, it's good that you could, even forget about the fall. I know one of the girls hurt her knee. I think she even
Yeah,
dislocated her knee or something like that on the coming down from
yeah.
the rope. I'm not sure. She didn't even jump from high up, but maybe just landed, the wrong way.
Oh, I saw it. It was a Rebecca, and
Right,
she tore her ACL going down. And
right.
in that rep, I because I watched it afterwards, and she even used her legs to go down, and she only jumped like I don't know if it's even 1 meter high.
Yeah,
It was like, yeah, I don't know. It's
yeah. Like
scary to look like knowing that I jumped from way higher, and I don't know if it can happen to anybody or she had an injury going into the work to the competition. I don't know, but it looks scary.
it definitely did. So you win this workout, finish first, and I believe you're first on the leaderboard after that second day.
Yeah, yeah, I was sitting in first indeed. I think it was ex aequo with Lazar because I had an event win, they probably was first.
Mhm.
But yeah, for me that changes nothing to the mindset or going into the last day because we still have 300 points and yeah, you see how easy it can go. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like you said, 300 points on the last day alone. So how do you feel, physically, mentally after the second day? Were you happy with your performance that day?
so yeah, after the second day, I was quite happy. The first workout went pretty well. I expected some faster times from other athletes, but yeah, was pretty consistent so far, and body felt still great. So it's good going into the last day, pretty fresh, knowing it's the last day. So after that, it doesn't matter how fresh you are anymore. So yeah, I never went into a last day of a competition that's fresh and so feeling good.
Feeling good. So you wake up Sunday morning, there's three events to go. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you do in the morning to get you prepared for the day? A routine on the mental side that you have?
Uh, Not anymore, really. I did some journaling
Hmm.
for the first 6 months. It's like a tool I got from Andre from the camp, and I liked it a lot. But after 6 months, I had like the feeling I'm writing down the same every day because the days are so similar. Like, yeah, and then I stopped that. But yeah, on Sunday I didn't have really much time for routines because the briefing was at 7:15 already.
It was early. Yeah.
There we had to wake up early and there was basically not much time to go back. So yeah, that was a long day, an early day and a long day and a difficult one to time nutrition wise and everything. So yeah, it was interesting.
So first workout for that third day, we had a ladder with rowing and handstand walk, 400-meter row, 96-foot handstand walk, 600-meter row, 120-foot handstand walk, 800-meter row, 72-foot handstand walk. How do you feel going into this one, knowing where you stand with the handstand walk? Were you confident you could do well on this one?
Yeah, I was pretty confident. Like in training, it felt good. Obviously, we didn't have times from other athletes, so I didn't know really. Um, like the first time, I did it a bit conservative to see
Mhm.
how the first exposure I did to see how the handstand walk volume, how my body handles it, and yeah, I saw that it will maybe not be one on the row, but it can definitely be lost on the row if you're not rowing hard enough. So then second exposure, I went harder on the row and I still could manage the handstand walk. And then I did it another time. Like it's all different intervals to see what I can hold. Um, and then I thought I found it and I worked in training. We have, yeah, the box is not so big because you need like 22 meters straight line. And I could set out 22 meters, but it's basically like kicking up almost just 1 meter 50 before the wall, and then ending like almost against the wall. What I didn't think about is the transition at the floor was from the rower, and you could basically run into your handstand walk.
Yeah.
Um, which meant that at the point where you had to turn, the speed was way higher. And in the practice, I did with a pirouette because I won like a split second doing that instead of kicking down and up. But on the floor, my speed was so high, and then I wanted to stick what I practiced. And I set the first hand of my pirouette, and I just like collapsed over because I never did a pirouette at that speed. And then it was a quick, basically just like, okay, fuck the pirouette, kick back up, go back. There I had already lost a little bit of ground. And then I just rode a bit harder, and it was definitely a good finish. It was one of the coolest moments, like kicking up like in third place and surpassing your competitors in 22 meters by, yeah, it was a good moment. When
Yeah.
you
Race on the
ride,
hands.
yeah.
A true race on the hands. In those competitions, do you hear the spectators? Do you hear anything, or are you really in your bubble?
Um, like in the first event, there I didn't hear anything. I was so far down in the dark hole. But the second day I heard a lot. Like on the box jumps, I heard my parents and my family like counting the reps when I was in ahead, and they count like 1, 2, 3, and that gave a good boost. Also, box jumps, you cannot rush it, or you cannot do it any faster easily. So that was cool. And also, yeah, I heard a lot. I hear a lot of speaker like when you're upside down, you cannot really look left or right. Then you heard the speaker like Hoste, Hoste, and it's like, okay, I'm catching up. And then you have like, yeah, that helped knowing where you are. And
Do you remember what your splits were on the rower, on the 4, 6, and 800?
yeah, somebody made a post. I don't know who it was anymore. That posted my splits, but it was not at all what I was holding, because the first round I did 138 average per 500 meters, then again 138, and I think the last 800 meters I did 136. But maybe with transitioning in and out, the average is a bit lower. Like
Right.
overall, maybe there he got his splits from, but yeah, that was it. And I think Victor was holding a 140 all the way, but he was a bit faster on the handstand walk.
Yeah, he was running on his hands.
Yeah.
You get second in that workout, so a great start of the day. Same routine as usual, I imagine, between workouts. Do you have time to go back and have a nap, or did you stay on site?
No, but then the last day we figured out where the athlete chill out zone was, which was pretty nice, and we had like basically a coach for everyone. So I put the mask on, like the eye mask and the earplugs, and did a nap. So the same routine, just a different place.
Fifth, second to last workout, snatch ladder, 10 squat snatches at 185, 8 at 205, 6 at 225, 4 at 245, 2 at 265. How did you approach that workout?
Uh, yeah, good. I think like everybody, like being a little bit more conservative at the start, because you can easily lose it in the end. And my time was faster than in practice, which I was happy about. But it was also the first time I missed 120. Like in practice, I didn't miss it anytime, which felt good going in. But maybe like going in the end a little bit faster on the floor, and I rushed maybe a little bit too much. Yeah, if I took like 5 seconds more and was focused, I would have had it. Because if you can hit it 10 seconds later, that doesn't mean it's like strength wise that you're lacking or something. It's just execution.
Hmm. So you only miss one on the whole workout, right?
Yeah, I missed the 120. Um, I don't know if it's the first one or the second I missed. I don't remember anymore. But yeah,
How did you feel after that workout? Were you happy with what you know put out on that one?
uh, yeah. Objectively, I'm happy with how I executed because it was faster than in training. But I
Yeah.
also know this needs work, and I wanted to check the leaderboard directly where I was. Because going into the competition, I just wanted to punch my ticket to the games because there is where it's mattered.
Hmm.
But then after the second day, I maybe wanted to win the competition because I was in a good spot, and I felt it was possible. But yeah, that event took me down a little bit too much to
Hmm.
actually win it, I think.
Yeah, like you said, 16th on this one, which was the only one you got outside of the top seven in the weekend. Coming into the last workout of the weekend, a nice little sprint, 30 cals on the echo, 15 muscle ups, and then the dumbbell walking lunge. How did that one go in training?
Uh, Also pretty good. I like that workout a lot. Um, I maybe had a little bit more in the tank, but previous heats I saw so many people like failing their lunges, like the grip going out, and in training I didn't experience that at all. Like
Mm,
the lunges were solid, the my grip didn't bother me once. Then it got like me thinking, yeah, maybe it's the accumulation of the volume or the I don't know. Then it got a little bit in my head, and
mm,
then I, in the end, I still did an okay time. But I think if there was like more on the line, or like when you're at the cut line, I could have done something close to what Henrik was doing, I think,
mm.
because I was faster on the lunges, I was the same on the ring muscle ups, and it was just about pushing the bike a little bit harder. Um, that would have made a difference. But good.
Yeah, good.
Romero was already in my head, like happy with like it was even with it when I didn't do that event, I would have qualified. So it was just yeah, play safe, maybe a little bit.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, so you get six on that one. You end up, like you said, second overall, only 12 points behind Lazar. So really, really close there at the end.
Yeah, when I saw the leaderboard in the end, I was a little bit disappointed that I didn't go for it in the end because I thought, yeah, Lazar is good on the bike, ring muscle ups as well. The dumbbells are okay, but then I see him breaking the dumbbells, and I thought, fuck. It's like I think it's only 5 seconds to go to the first place for me, like
Hmm.
to grab enough points, and then it's like, but also for me, it's like I rather finish somewhere and knowing there's more in the tank going forward than doing your absolute best, complete depleting everything, finishing not where you want it, and then how do you proceed? It's like, yeah, what will I do now? Now it's like, okay, it was good, and I have something more to show for the next stage, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, that's where it matters, right? Everything that you're
Yeah.
working towards is over there. What was your personal favorite workout of the weekend?
Um, I think the legless rope climb was a cool one.
Hmm.
Like this one and the final workout, I liked very much. Like it would be all potential event wins if I would. Yeah, it could be event wins. I think in my head.
Hmm.
Um, but for the handstand walk and the rowing was definitely like the coolest moment. Like just like winning a race and split tens of a second. That's cool.
Which one was the hardest one physically?
No, the first one for sure.
The
It's
run and clean and jerk.
clean and jerk, and running is a horrible workout. Weightlifting and running is a horrible combination. It's
Right.
very taxing.
Yeah. Um, if we talk a little bit about the programming of the workouts, one thing that I appreciated is that there was there was very little room for misjudging movements. I know, like we maybe saw in the previous stages with box jumps or things like that, where there's obviously room to cut, you know, a few centimeters here and there, but it's really hard to judge. It seemed
Mhm.
like they really picked movements that were very, very straightforward to judge, and you couldn't really mess around with them. Did you feel the same about it?
Yeah, yeah, and there's also something I really like and want in competition is like just keep it simple, keep
Mm,
the rules as easy as possible, and just make it as objective as possible. Because in the end, that's also something with me that I maybe held a little bit back in the first workout with the clean and jerks. Like I want to make sure that my lockout is 100% good, so I don't have no reps. And if you have that with every movement, you cannot like show your full capacity. And
mm,
in the end, that's what they want to see, like capacity. And if you feel you're holding back, like with yeah, with too much you too much holding back to show the correct and the good standards, it's yeah, that's just stupid. Just it feels stupid as an athlete that you finish. I know I could have done better, but just to make sure I move well, I
mm,
show it. And yeah, they did definitely a good job in keeping it simple. Also very spectator friendly, like overall good programming. Like
mm,
having event wins means nothing anymore. It's like Uldis had two event wins, he didn't qualify. Like this weekend, Colton has two event wins, he didn't qualify.
mm.
So yeah, there's no room for error, no room for holes in your fitness. And so yeah, for me it was great. I like the programming.
Did you know that I've recently started an all English YouTube channel? If you're not following me there yet, please take a few seconds to go subscribe to the Upside Strength English channel and get access to hundreds of hours of free content. Yeah, and it was like you said, it was really fun to watch from the outside as well. It all, you know, felt like a race, and contrary to some of the stuff we've seen in the past. So I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. Andre, I know I cut into your lunchtime and your nap. I've got a few more questions from the audience before we finish this recording. First one is, how do you deal with self-doubt?
um, I don't have too much self-doubt, I think. I just like if you're confident in your preparation, I did everything well, there's just no room for self-doubt. Like we saw a tool I got from Andre in the beginning, like um, you make the four check boxes like nutrition, sleep, training, and mindset. Mindset was the fourth one. And if you're able to check that box like every day of the year, then you know you have done everything, and it's just you sure you maximize your capacity, and at the game day you can only execute. So you will, yeah, even if you execute a few percentages off of what you have put, yeah, you will still be fine. So yeah, for me, confidence is in the preparation. Uh,
Mhm. In the
there,
preparation.
there, there it's where it's built, and then on the game day, you just have to have faith that you have done everything you could. And he thinks confidence in the other way also comes from a bad preparation or going in
Mm,
injured, or maybe I don't know. You always see athletes like pulling out injured, athletes breaking mentally. It's like, yeah, and that's not something suddenly. I think it's something that builds and
mm.
just cracks that start to show over the weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of seeing it. On the same topic, what do you think about the idea or the concept of mental toughness? Is that something that you can build? Is it not necessarily an issue for you in terms of, you know, going hard when you have to go hard? What would you comment on the idea of building mental toughness?
Um, yeah, I thought in the beginning it was something you. Yeah, it's a hard question because a lot of people consider me mentally tough, but I always think there's room for improvement, and I don't know where I want to take this question. It's something you can build, I think, but in a certain way. Like you have it or not, you can improve it. But like if you have it and you improve it, you will always have an edge on the people that want to build it from zero.
Mm.
Um, but I think it's all about doing hard things over and over again. They, I'm a huge fan of Huberman, and they even like found the spot in the brain which is responsible for mental toughness and everything.
Hmm.
It's something, to keep it very simple, that is plastic.
Right.
So
You can
if
train it.
you use it, then it will grow. But if you don't use it, then it will shrink. So, and somewhere it makes sense and you already know it. But like having it backed up by science is like, for me, it's nice because I always live by the thing like you have to do at least one hard thing a day, like a hard workout or a cold shower or something you don't want to do. And now it's like proven that that's the way you build mental toughness. And yeah, that's also like it's all linked, like mental toughness, self-doubt. Like
I was
if
gonna say, I guess once you put it all together, do hard things and confront, the hard stuff, and that's gonna build your capacity to just get through it, and then be ultra prepared in parallel to that, and check all the boxes, like you said. I think that's a good way of thinking about it. And once if you do that, then you've essentially done everything that you can do. Now it's just about, going out and
yeah,
doing the work.
yeah, indeed. And I think I said it in the beginning is when you do a shit ton of hard workouts, when you have a hard moment, you know that in training you have done hard things. And
Hmm.
then, but if you had never done it and now they expect you to do hard things, and in training you're a pussy pulling out and like, ah, this is too much. I will cut down around. No, when I do something, I commit to it and I do it. And even when the workout doesn't make sense to me, or I had a workout which I thought was way over programmed.
Hmm.
I had like it was very close to semis. The volume was 120-meter lunges with like a weighted vest and two times 35 kg dumbbells. But then you see the final event coming out, and you know it's only 22 meters with 45 dumbbells. It's like
Mm.
I did like six times the volume. Okay, it's a bit less weight, but like these things, like in training, it doesn't make sense. It's also the pace drops. It doesn't feel right. But for myself, it's like I started a workout, I will finish it, and yeah. But if I should have quit that workout and then the workout from the semifinals comes out, I don't have that resilience from that workout. It's like just commit to it, do it, embrace the suck, and you will. I have a good quote from my gymnastic coach that he said literally, it's like you can only have fun one time, or you have fun in training, or you have fun on the podium, but you cannot have both. And I think that's a very good quote.
It's a good way to say it. Somebody's asking about what kind of tests you do through the season, whether it's, body composition, threshold tests, or other kinds. What do you guys put in place with Andre?
Um, yeah, we are in CrossFit. It's a bit hard to like standardize or like to put KPIs on fitness because
Mm.
yeah, if you do a bike test, an FTP test of 20 minutes, it's not the guy with the best FTP test that will win the games.
Mm.
We try to benchmark some things, but just to have something, I think it's we can compare it to last year, but it also I don't put too much attention to it actually. I like to measure things, I like to compare things, but I don't rely too much on it
Mm.
because what if you have like all measurements that doesn't make sense that go down and then suddenly you smash the games? It's like, did I have a bad season? I don't know. So yeah,
I think
I
what you said is right. Finding the right KPIs for CrossFit is really hard. I mean, there's because it changes, because it's all together. I mean, at the end of the day, it's, movement efficiency and then speed of execution, and then how many reps can you get through in how much time. And the person does the most work in the least amount of time is usually going to get there first. But
Yeah.
there's no easy way to measure that with, one or two metrics.
Yeah, it's much more than that. I think there are other sports that are more suitable for measuring, and still there it doesn't mean anything.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Somebody asked, what type of run training do you recommend for a competitive CrossFitter?
Yeah, I got a lot of these questions after the games, but to be honest, I just did a shit ton of running when I was young, and I think I still have the benefits from that period.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I honestly I don't know. If you're running is the worst thing, just run more. I think it's very simple. It's a capacity thing. It's not technical. It is technical, but I myself I can improve a lot technically, but that's something that you have to build and put in a lot of hours, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that like you said, you run a lot when you were younger, that plays, we see that in people that were people that were swimmers. They usually have good, upper body endurance and gymnastic
Hmm.
capacity and those kind of things. And if you've played a team sport or any type of running, then you're usually going to be good at that. To speak from experience a little bit, maybe to add to that person's question, Claudia's running last year was definitely one of her weaker events, weaker modalities, and we did exactly what you did, which is just prioritize this, right? So
Hmm.
that just started to take up more space than the ergs and the other stuff. And for the summer, she did 2 to 3 sessions a week, working with my friend and coach Max on the running, doing a lot of the boring little exercises to strengthen the feet, the ankles, the lower leg, because obviously with CrossFitters that are usually muscular, it's a little bit harder on the when you never run and you start running a lot, then you can really
Hmm.
quickly run into some problems. So I think
Yeah.
just doing those basics and then just building volume, like you said, over time, being patient and like maybe counting the sessions over months rather than, oh, I'm going to run 5 times this week. But if you've never run before, in 2 weeks, you can't run
Yeah.
anymore. So just
Yeah.
do two now, do three in a couple months, and then just build that over time. I think that's just the best you can do. That it takes time to build too, so you can't rush it.
Yeah. And maybe I put it a bit too simple. I say just run more, but you need to be smart or have a coach that is smart that puts the pieces together. If I decide now I will run 5 times a week, like 100% I'm injured somewhere because
Right.
with all the squatting, like so much movements involve squatting and things that are heavy on the ankles and the knees and the hips. So run more, but keep it a stimulus and not a contract with an injury.
Absolutely. Somebody else asked, what are you doing to get better at weightlifting?
um, yeah, for me it's two things. You have people that are very strong, but for me it's still like pushing the top end strength, pushing the ceiling higher, and I do that with yeah, strength program Andre makes, which involves, by example, the hack squat, where you don't have to think about anything. It's just pure neurological, and my max power output went up with that. I think that was
Hmm.
nice because with squatting, there's a lot of mechanics and movement patterns that if you get tired, with the hack squat, like everything is blocked. It's just how hard you can push, and also technique, something that I keep focusing on. Like there are athletes that are way lighter than me that outsnatch me. So yeah, it's strange, but I think it's just efficiency in navigating the power I have
Hmm.
that I do with. By example, I will attend a training camp with weightlifting 101 next week now for 1 week, and having PT sessions here and there, like filming every lift. Yeah, that's I film a lot. I film myself all the time, just to see how can I move better, what can I improve, how does this guy move compared to me? And yeah, it's just all about searching the holes.
Same question about the handstand walk and the handstand push-ups. What have you done to get better at that?
Well, the handstand walk, I got in touch with my gymnastic coach,
Mhm.
and there I basically just joined the. He has like a, I don't know if it's the same word in English, like the top sport, the top athletes, but the athletes that are still in like primary school. So they are between 7 and 9 years old, but their gymnastic level is way above my level. So he has these guys in the morning before they go to school between 7 and 9.
Mm.
And then I join them like every week for 2 hours. And yeah, it's very humbling, very interesting. And it's just understanding how they move and getting exercises to move more like them. And it was also a process to for him to get to know CrossFit,
Yeah.
because he wants me to be like straight like this, and then it's like, yeah, but by example, handstand walk doesn't exist in gymnastics.
Hmm.
They don't do it. So then he also watched movies, or like, why does Daniel Brandon or Victor Hoffer win the handstand walk? What does he different than me? And then he saw, oh, he does this and that.
Yeah.
We should work on that. And then with his knowledge, he can apply that or give exercises, which yeah, and he can also make very cool exercises. Or yeah, it just these are kudos to my gymnastic coach.
Yeah, I guess what comes out of everything you just said, whether it's on the running side, the weightlifting side, the gymnastic side, is just being meticulous about how you approach the movement and the discipline, and then just building work over time. There's not really any shortcuts, and if you surround yourself with the right people and they're able to get you advancing 1% here, 1% there, 2% here, 2% there, that's what over weeks, months, and years is going to get you better.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about CrossFit. Like in the end of my judo career, like the problem was a bit like finding good competitors, like people which are your weight class, which are your level.
Hmm.
Like if you're the best Belgian athlete of your weight class, there's maybe one or two guys that you can fight with.
Hmm.
And you have to travel all the time to them to fight with them. And once you know their technique, it's basic. Yeah. So you have to move like to other countries to get good
Right.
sparring partners. Now I can take my bike. I bike 5 minutes. I go to the gymnastic. Um, how is the thing called?
G-
Gymnastic
Gym center. Yeah.
gym. And I train with 7 to 9 year old athletes, and they push my boundaries. So that's like, you don't need specialists in the sport to improve. It's just like average athletes that are okay in their sport. They will probably be able to learn you something about their sport. So that's very nice.
That's a great lesson to take away. How do you use the sauna and the cold bath in your day-to-day training?
um well, the ice bath I use usually in the this one is still one I'm trying to figure out. But usually on rest days I try to use it,
Hmm.
like to kickstart the morning, and because otherwise it's too close to my trainings.
Yeah.
Um, when it's a pure cardio session in the morning, I would do it after that one as well, and then train a little bit later in the afternoon, because it's a little bit tricky with the hypertrophy stimulus and
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing I want at this point. So usually on rest days, to just like mentally boost my morning and feel good, and like also as a mental challenge, I hate ice baths. I love it afterwards, but like the conversation I have in my head is all the time like, would you do it? It's very cold, it sucks, and like 3 minutes you're. But that's why I do it. Like every time I think something I don't like, I directly the reflex is, yeah, no, I have to do it because I don't want to.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have the same process with, the when I want to create a video, make content, and if I ever feel that, oh, I don't want to do it because I feel uncomfortable, then the knee-jerk reaction has to be, no, no, that's exactly why I need to do it, because that
Yeah.
also means that 99% of people are not going to do it. So if I do, now I'm the outlier and I can actually, gain an advantage and move forward with that. So I think that's a really good kind of little mental trick to say, oh, if I feel
Mhm.
like I don't want to do it, that's probably something you should work on and do more often.
Yeah, that's a very good mindset. And also, not only in sports, like everywhere, you can, if you apply this, you will probably easily be better than the rest.
Yeah, there's a
Out.
quote that comes to mind. Everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
just have to get to the other side.
yeah.
How about the
I,
sauna?
yeah, I mostly use sauna actually. Like I use it to relax, like after training, because training in high volumes usually comes with me having a harder time getting to sleep.
Mm,
So that means that when I get into bed, yeah, it usually takes longer when I get to sleep because I'm very restless and I cannot find a good spot to sleep in or the good position. Um, but after a sauna, it relaxes me so much that when I'm out of it and I get into my bed, I'm directly gone, and my sleep metrics are a lot better after sauna. So I'm doing that 3 to 4 times a week now, like a day
mm,
off, a day on and off. Also to put a little bit of electricity bill down. Um, so that advantage I love. But the main thing that was one of the things, but the other main thing that we bought the sauna is for the heat training
yeah.
because yeah, they only say it will be 1 or 2 events outside in Texas, but when it's close to noon, that means already 30 degrees, which means I'm dying. I experienced it last year at the Pick Chipper, which
Mm,
was an event I looked very much forward to. I like all the movements I like, but the heat got me so hard. It was
mhm,
like stadium was closed, like the heat was inside, no single wind. The, my body temperature going in was nice, but just what was good, was optimal. But just standing there in the corrals going into it, I was already heating up. 5 minutes in the workout, it was, I
mm.
got the man with the hammer, and yeah, it's nothing you can do anymore. You can grind a bit through it, but your strength is gone. The sharp edge of your fitness is gone. It's so now I will do a decent heat protocol and then maintain it going into Texas.
Yeah, that does make a huge difference. We did some heat work with Claudia going into Dubai, and she also felt, just I think there's obviously the events and the workouts, but there's also then the day-to-day life, right? If you're just not affected by heat as much, then that also means that every minute you spend in somewhat hot environments is it's just less taxing for you. And because
Mhm.
if you're never used to it and you spend a little bit of time outside here or there, it's hot, you're not used to it, makes you comfortable, it just eats away at you almost. So I think that's a really good way to take it on. It's good to hear about how the sauna helps you, come down from training a little bit. And um, just last week, there's some interesting papers coming out now showing that hypertrophy gains might be improved by heat exposure post training. So I think it's going in the direction of people seeing the value of heat on the body, whether it's on the
Yeah,
cardio with the heat training, the strength work as well. Obviously, you have to use it the right way and you have to rehydrate properly and whatnot. But I think it's a great tool to add for recovery and for training.
yeah, it's amazing. I also got some friends that are very much into sauna, but like really with the smells and everything. But they are also very used to it, and they like to push it a lot, and it becomes also very mental and challenging in the end. So it's also fun to share it with them and to have the sauna sessions with them. Um, Also sometimes compared with ice bath, sometimes not.
Mm,
Depends which time of the day.
mm,
Also the physiological benefits. So I only see benefits with it, and that's why we decided to buy a sauna before painting the house. By example, it's like everything now is yeah, it's all like, will it make me better at training or will it make me worse? And if it's the second one, we don't go for it.
Thanks for answering all those questions, Andre. One last one for you. What's going to change in the next 70 some days leading up to the games in your training compared to the rest of the year? What's different leading up to the games directly?
Yeah, I don't think actually too much. I think the rhythm I found is good, and now I think it's just sticking to it. Yeah, I have a weightlifting camp coming up. Then we have a small games prep camp in Denmark with Andre. That will be about it. I also have an exciting new tool that I can add to the toolbox, which I will not tell yet, but I think closer to the games you will see it on social media because I got kind of a deal. So I have to share it, but I don't want to give my competitors now an advantage.
Awesome. Well, Andre, it's been great catching up with you. Thanks for dedicating your lunch break to this podcast. I appreciate you taking the time. Congrats again on the performance at semis. It was great to see you there, and we look forward to seeing you compete at the games pretty soon.
Thank you. It was thanks for having me, and it was a nice chat. I like it when it goes a little bit further than how did you start CrossFit and how do you like it. So thanks for the podcast.
I appreciate you, man. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot for watching this episode. If you want to support the show, there are 2 good ways that you can do so. You can leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or you can help grow this community by sharing this episode on your social media. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you in the next episode.